police said they will investigate it within a week so they will come back to us. So as far as that, you have to leave.
This woman was just sentenced to jail.
The caption said, "Squatter saga comes to an end."
So as far as that, you have to leave.
This woman was just sentenced to jail for her role in this squatting saga I've been covering for more than a year now. This story is wild. It has made national news, and it's even resulted in a change to state law here in Florida. So last March, these women moved into a vacant rental house owned by Patty Peoples and her business partner. It was for sale at the time. Patty said they had an offer on it, so she was surprised when she found these two women living there. She ended up calling the police.
He has a signed lease and paid $3,100 for first and last month rent.
She implied she was a victim of a rental scam. So the officer does some research and he finds this suspicious.
You're being scammed for your home. This is what I believe. Now,
She's part of it?
She had claimed to be a victim of the same type of scam just months earlier from a nearby property where she had been recently evicted.
Oh no, of course, I'm not going to vacate.
But the officer says there's nothing he can do. It had to go through the civil court system to determine if they were actually victims, and that can take weeks. And the women were allowed to stay in the house, and Patty and the other owner weren't allowed inside.
Oh, okay, because once you're in my property and you're in my house,
This is not your property.
That's insane. And see, it looks like she does this a lot. It looks like this is her MO, and she knew exactly how to execute, exactly how to pull it off. And what I think I heard the news anchor person say is that it actually resulted in a change in Florida law, which is great. You know, it seems like a lot of times, in order for us to just do what makes sense, common sense, it's like something catastrophic always has to happen. They have to do something crazy with the Twin Towers, and then all of a sudden now you get checked super heavily when you go to the airport. Somebody watch the new Batman movie and go unalive people at the Batman movie. Now, okay, we got to check your bags before you come into the movie theater, right? It seems like it's always got to be something catastrophic. And now this situation apparently went viral and got a lot of publicity. So now it finally led to them to make some changes. And I think they need to make a lot of changes when it comes to the landlord-tenant dynamics, because I think it's definitely ironclad on one side. And by ironclad on one side, I'm referring to there's a lot of stipulations that the landlord has to go through in order to carry out the eviction process. And they have to dot their I's and cross their T's. But when it comes to certain things that the tenants can do, like, for example, they can move another person into the property, and then now you have to treat that new person that they moved in who wasn't on the contractual lease, you have to treat that new person like a new tenant. And that can get out of control really fast. That can get out of hand. You know, it's endless possibilities with that. And you can just continue to have to go back and forth through these legal hurdles. But let's get back into the clip. Y'all, before we do, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype.
The civil court system to determine if they were actually victims, and that can take weeks. And the women were allowed to stay in the house, and Patty and the other owner weren't allowed inside.
Oh, okay, because once you're in my property and you're in my house,
This is not your property.
Oh, okay, I thought so.
This is not your property.
The squatters refused to
my
leave,
property.
and as you can imagine, things got testy.
Why did you break the window?
She broke.
Don't say nothing to her. Bye.
Come on.
Do we need to call Officer Smith again?
Yeah.
Didn't he tell you not to come here?
Wow.
When the women were finally evicted weeks later, the house was left like this. Drywall was torn out. Patty said there was feces left on the carpet. The windows were broken. She also said appliances were stolen. Months later, this woman was arrested and charged with criminal mischief and trespassing. She pleaded guilty.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Keep in mind, allegedly, this was a squatter. This wasn't even somebody who the landlord had ever even met before, apparently. Allegedly. This was a squatter. Somebody walking the streets who just decided to go inside your house because they saw it was empty. And not only did you have to evict them, but then they can destroy your property. And this is what you get. Ain't that crazy? She said the squatter right, who allegedly trespassed from preconception, told the landlord, call officer. She knew the officer's name. She enticed her to call the officer. She said, call him so that he can come here and tell you my rights in your property, even though we've never met, we never signed any contracts. I really broke into your house. Ain't that something?
So bye. Do we need to call Officer Smith again? Yeah. Didn't he tell you not to come here?
Ahead.
When the women were finally evicted weeks later, the house was left like this. Drywall was torn out. Patty said there was feces left on the carpets. Windows were broken. She also said appliances were stolen. Months later, this woman was arrested and charged with criminal mischief and trespassing. She pleaded guilty and the judge sentenced her to 30 days in jail plus 2 years probation, 50 hours of community service, and the judge also ordered her to pay about $3,600 to the victim in restitution. After our investigation exposed this legal loophole, the state legislature voted unanimously to fix it. If you want to know more about this story, we've got a lot of reporting on this on news4jax.com.
They still got a lot more to fix when it comes to these type of situations. But then look at all the stuff that she's done, all the havoc that she's wreaked on these people. And she really just got a slap on the wrist. 30 days in jail, 2 years probation. That's it. And she definitely caused, I'd have to say at least $50,000 worth of damage. As well as we're not even accounting for the fact that she was living there and probably not paying any rent, right? You see how crazy this is? Let's get back into it, y'all. If you could like the video again, helps more than you know.
I don't laugh at nobody pain. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know exactly how hard it is out here and stuff. But I also think about, the people who own these properties. They have mortgage to pay. They have
What she's referring to, the caption says, Atlanta eviction is going crazy. Atlanta doing evictions, my heart is heavy.
property taxes and insurance to pay, but it's so sad that rent is so high now. These people can't afford to even pay their rent. I saw a lady on the neighborhood app. She was looking for a room to rent for $1,000. It's crazy that you can't even find a place to live for $1,000 a month. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a landlord myself. I have multiple properties, and I think about all the time when I lived in the trailer park and how I struggle. And so I would hate for people to be struggling because they can't afford to pay me rent. That's just my personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just how my mind's set up. Because if I can't help you, I damn sure ain't gonna hurt you. But yeah, yesterday in Atlanta was crazy. Evictions was going left and right. People was getting put out of their homes and stuff yesterday. This is my neighbor. They just came in and just took everything out of these people's house and just sat it outside and stuff. So I don't know what they're gonna do about the cleanup process, but my heart goes out to everybody that's struggling and having a hard time, especially up here in Atlanta where the rent prices is crazy up here. It is really crazy up here. So I pray everybody's situation get better. I don't laugh.
Not only is my home being taken, this is where I work.
Single mom of 4 kids and my home is being taken.
This is where I work. So now I have to close my business and go find a job too? How am I supposed to give you money and pay and do all of this when you're taking my home and my job?
He took it.
Somebody has to be able to help me. I don't know the legal system. I don't know any of it. I have contacted lawyers. It takes time for that to go through. Can someone please help me? Because your girl does not know what to do at this point. Not only is my home being taken, this is where I work.
She said, you're taking my home and you're taking my job. Well, why is it being taken? See, we got to understand the context. You said your home is being taken. Why? Is it your home? But more importantly, why is it being taken? Sounds like you get to work. Sounds like But I mean, she's an entrepreneur. She doesn't have a job, apparently. She wants to do the cosmetic life, hair, all that good stuff. Why is it being taken? Are you paying your rent on time? That's what we have to know. We need the context. Give us the whole picture of things.
Cause I'm not finna move it, Riri. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not touching shit here. I'm not. The landlord finna have to come and move my shit outside. He want my shit at his house. Cause anyone of them touching it, I'm ass. I swear to God, and I put that on my child.
Hey, we got an eviction here today.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Y'all see this? The things people say when they get emotional. What's your child have to do with this situation? Leave your child out of it, because what are you putting it on? Like, what is the collateral here that you're putting on your child? Because you said something that I would argue that you really can't come through on. She said, if any of these dudes put their hands on me or something like that, then she's going to do something to them. And then she put that on her child. You just really put yourself in a really bad situation, because who was that covenant with that you just put that on your child with? Did you just put that covenant, like, were you putting that on the Most High that you're going to fulfill on this if anybody does anything? Because I would argue that you won't. And if you do, it's dang if you do, dang if you don't. On one end, if you do what you said you were going to do, you're going to go to jail. And then someone's going to have to come watch your child. But then on the other end, what happens if they do and then you don't do it? Are we then going to be waiting for something to happen to your child? Why would you say that? Why would any mother who cares about their child seek opportunities to implicate their child in these little covenants that they're making? That gives a lot of insight, doesn't it? As far as priorities and what people could possibly think of their children. That is insane.
Cause I'm not finna move it, Riri. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not touching shit here. I'm not. The landlord finna have to come and move my shit outside. He want my shit at his house. Cause anyone of them touching it, I'm ass. I swear to God, and I put that on my child.
Hey, we got an eviction here today.
I ain't know nothing about that.
You didn't go to court? You missed.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
good
didn't go to
question.
court?
I went to court on the 6th of March or something like that.
Okay, so what happened?
A payment arrangement or something like that.
Yeah, April 6th.
Yeah, April 6th.
Yeah, you got a judgment. And what now?
I said he told us we can pay it down. And
See, they act like they don't know what's going on. And I'm going to stop cutting in here. But they act like they don't know what's going on. But she went to court. She was told exactly what was going to happen and when it was going to happen. Because when he asked, well, what did they say? She said, payment arrangement or something like that. Ma'am, you're being dishonest. You know exactly what was said. So now we see the games that they play or something like that. The judge gave you some information. You talking about something like that? You don't know?
we only had like 2021 or something like that. And he thought he was going to get out of it. But I told him that I was in the process of losing my job, but they don't understand it. So I was trying to make like a arrangement. My dude that I'm currently talking to, he texts him. He don't text me. So I'm trying to see what's going on. Like, how my name on stuff, and you ain't texting me, you texting my dude that helping me pay my rent. You ain't communicating with me at all. So that's why I'm looking like, what? Eviction what? I went to court, but then, you know what I'm saying? He told me to pay what I can, and I just gave him a whole 11. Then he told me to come back around and pay my rent when I get it, and I know my rent. I'm not slow, you gotta be working with me. Then you try to put me in eviction every month. That's weird. That is weird. You can't, thought that was against the law. You can't evict nobody after every month. I'm 1 month behind. That's weird. And
So how much you behind right now?
I really don't want to say I'm keeping up with them. If you ask me, I'm 1 month behind because all the late fees. They add $100 late fee every doggone time. Like, that's not going to add up.
Well, you going to open the door? When you said you were talking to your boyfriend.
And he not even here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even have the landlord number. So that's what I'm saying.
So how did boyfriend get involved?
Because he met him as being a private owner. We got these houses as a private owner. That's what I'm saying. I didn't communicate with the man. The only thing I did was sign a lease with my name and a job involved.
And your boyfriend lives here?
But he not currently here. He left to go to the rent. Pay the rent. We got to go all the way to Bartlett to pay rent.
Can you call your boyfriend?
Our phone turned off and we working off Wi-Fi. This is still running Wi-Fi.
People really be thinking that they're about to talk their way out of what's about to happen. She really believes that she got the gift of gab to the point to where she's about to talk her way out of this, and he's just gonna be like, okay, well, have a nice day, man. Well, we'll see what we can do. You know, we're not gonna actually do what the judge ordered us to do today. You're just so gifted with the way that you just communicated with me and just salvaged the situation. She really thinks she's about to talk her way out of what's about to happen.
Yeah, just live literally trying to get to the bank.
Well, I'm gonna have to execute the rent. So how much stuff you got in here? You have a lot of stuff?
I do. And so he want us to get out today?
Yeah, that's what we're here for, to set it
My
up.
birthday tomorrow. Oh, hell. Y'all got me. I'm not. Hell no.
Your
They wouldn't
birthday?
never open my door.
Well, that was the
shit
locksmith
weird.
is here. We're gonna come in
Don't y'all
regardless.
understand? My shit gonna be sitting outside. That shit weird. Like, that shit is weird. I'm going through shit now. That shit is weird. And I ain't, bro, this shit is weird.
What are
Shit
you
weird.
paying? What are you paying here?
$1,000 a fucking month. And he
So
fucking
you need to.
that's what I'm saying. You
but hold
evicted
on.
me for $1,000
Hold
late.
on.
Cause I'm not finna.
Oh man, it was a missed opportunity in there. I get it. He doing his whatever. But shoot, I'd have been like, oh, happy birthday. What you doing tomorrow? She'd have been like, shoot, we having a party, we doing all this. And but you ain't paid the rent. Oh man, that was a missed opportunity. I'd have been like, oh, what you doing for your birthday? Okay. Because I want to know. Because I think what we would have just discovered right there, we would have discovered the priorities. You mean to tell me you haven't paid your rent, but you about to have a birthday extravaganza? And she really thought she was about to talk her way out of that.
I still don't understand why my mom felt like it was okay to throw my stuff outside over $100. So I remember during the pandemic, this had to be like around the time when the pandemic just like first started, right? I was working at a job and I had got laid off at the job, right? So around this time, I was living with my mom and I was sleeping on her couch. And my sister had a room, my brother had a room, and my mama had her own room. And I had applied for unemployment and I had got approved for unemployment, right? So all I was getting from unemployment was $200, right? So I had told my mom, like, I got laid off the job, but I got approved for unemployment. So she knew that I was bringing in unemployment, and she knew that I was only bringing in $200, right? Mind you, before I got laid off the job, I was giving her like $200 for me to live there and sleep on her couch. Bitch, I didn't have a problem doing that because I was bringing in more money than what I was getting from unemployment. So I didn't have a problem with throwing her $200, $250 every 2 weeks when I got paid, just for me to live there, right? But it did kind of bother me a little bit because I'm like, okay, I'm giving you this money to live.
How are you bringing in more money than unemployment? If you have a job, then I'm pretty sure you would have been ineligible for unemployment. See? She was probably doing hair or something like that. That's the cheat code.
Here, but why is I'm sleeping on the couch? Why I don't have one of the rooms, So when I told her that I was getting my money from unemployment and I was telling her how much I was getting, a little $200, she was telling me, okay, well, you need to give me $100. And I'm like, I didn't complain about it, but a part of me was like, wait, hold up. You want me to give you $100 out of my $200, and that's all I'm getting every 2 weeks from unemployment, but I'm out here sleeping on the couch. So I'm giving her the $100 every 2 weeks, and all I got to myself is $100. So mind you, y'all, I gotta pay my phone bill. We don't get food stamps, so I'm buying my own food. I'm buying my hygienic stuff, and I'm using some of the money so I can have transportation because I had to take the bus. I didn't have no car, or I'll get Uber, right? So I'm literally surviving off of $100 every 2 weeks because of I'm giving her $100 out of my $200. So now I'm giving her $100, right? Mind you, y'all, my mama is a drug addict. She is doing Molly, she is doing cocaine, and on top of that, she got a boyfriend that was doing the same thing as her. So every time I would give her the $100, she would give the money to the boyfriend, and he would take the money and go buy drugs. And a part of me is like, dang, like I'm out here sleeping on the couch. I'm already uncomfortable. I'm giving you my money, and you going to put it on drugs, and that's the same money I could be using either to save my money or to take care of myself because I'm a young lady. Like, I don't have no help. She wasn't supporting me. My dad wasn't supporting me. Like, nobody was there for me financially. I was the only one doing what I was supposed to do at the age of 2021. So I started complaining. I started telling her how I felt. Like, I was telling her, like, I don't appreciate the fact that I'm giving you $100 out of my $200, and I'm out here sleeping on the couch. You taking my money, putting it on drugs, and now my money is limited because I can be saving that extra $100, but you're not even doing the right thing with the money. So it got to a point where we started bumping heads. And she was always clocking my money, like always asking me, "Oh, did you get your money? When you gonna get your money?" And I'm just like, why is this lady clocking my money? Mind you, y'all, she was getting money from the government. She was getting money from my brother from the government. And I'm only bringing in $200, and she probably bringing in, what, $1,500? So I remember one day, I was out with the dude that I was dating at the time, right? And he drove.
You know, this is just a big mess. It's just a big mess. But I'll be honest, like, we can see where it started. It started from, just poor parenting. Like she said, her mom has all these other things going on, these extracurricular activities that she likes to delve into, and it just kind of passes on the cycle. I hope this young lady, I think she was I think she's probably older now, probably not much older, maybe mid to late 20s, but she's referring to a time when she was like 20, 21. And, she just has a toxic mom, right? Who is strung out on all these substances. And it just passes the cycle down. I would say figure out whatever you have to do to just not even be in that environment. I'll be fair. $200 to sleep on a couch. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, if you get a room, it's probably going to be $500, $600, $700. So, like, just staying in someone's room at their house. So I think $200 to sleep on the couch is fair. But I get at that stage, especially at that age, and you know, I get it. I just hope she doesn't have any kids right now. And based off what we're given so far, I think that she should have found a way to not go back home. And whatever that can look like. Look, when you come from a circumstance where you're starting off already with pre-built-in traumas and self-inflicted wounds passed down to you from your family. So your family didn't prepare you for life. They actually did the opposite. And it was counterproductive, and they actually made you counterproductive. Then when you get out here, in order to just kind of get on a level playing field, you're going to have to work very hard. You're going to have to work extremely hard in order to get some type of foundation, some type of legs under you so that you can get off and running. So that's what it's really going to take. And that's also going to take getting away from a lot of things in your past that were the things that gave you the trauma to begin with, and that will ultimately keep you stuck. So she's got to do a lot of things at once. And there's a lot of people who have that unfortunate circumstance that they're in, right? Because as we see, when we watch a lot of these videos, a lot of people are having kids for some malicious reasons. It's not necessarily because they just want to be parents and they want to raise productive citizens and great people. A lot of times it's, what does she say? Her mom is still getting benefits. She could have been created just for the sake of receiving benefits. That is absolutely a possibility, which means that the goal wasn't to raise the child. She was most likely just still doing whatever impulsive things she wanted to do, and she was just surviving with her child. So then she comes out here and she has nothing but trauma, no skills, possibly even no good character traits, and she's going to have to try to get everything on her own. And that's unfortunate. And that's unfortunate for a lot of people.
Dropped me back off at nighttime, right? So when we got to the house, I see my stuff in front of the house, right? And we looking like, why is my stuff in front of the house? So I'm trying to figure out in my mind, where did it get to a point where she felt like she wanted to throw me out and kick me out or whatever the case may be, and not even tell me like, hey, come get your stuff. Just threw my stuff outside. Ain't say nothing, right? So I ain't say nothing. I ain't knock on the door. I ain't call her. I ain't text her. I took it for what it was. I got my stuff. I put it in his car, and we went back to his parents' house. So when we got back to his parents' house, I will never forget. I felt so angry. I felt so I felt so disappointed. I felt so upset. I felt so let down because I could not understand how can a mom, somebody that's my mom, somebody that I called mommy, throw me out over $100. And mind you, y'all, I was still giving her the money, but I guess she felt like because I was standing up for myself and I was speaking up for myself. It's like she didn't like that. Like she didn't like when a person would stand up for themselves. So I guess because I was doing that, she didn't want me in her house no more. Didn't call me, didn't text me, didn't ask me where I was at, who I was with. It was like she had no concern for me. She had no care in the world for me. It's like if I wasn't trying to give her money for her drug habit, it was like it was no use for me.
Here's what I want to close with, right? Because she said after the circumstance, after the situation occurred, and basically all her stuff was out, she said the way she felt immediately in that situation, the emotion she gave, she just said she was just angry. She was so angry, right? She was almost angry to the point that it kind of made her numb, is what it seems like. And that's important because ultimately what you have to do is you got to identify what that is. That's energy, right? Anger is probably one of the best emotions for if you really want to get moving and you really want to change your life. Let me tell you something, man. I've gone on some monumental multi-year runs just driven off anger. I'm not going to lie. I'm not an angry person now, and I wouldn't even say I was going through it angry, but it definitely lit a fire under me. And this can be from any type of situation. You can get angry if somebody underestimates you, all type of things, right? But I just say this to say that that's a great opportunity to be able to find a source of energy to be able to drive you to ultimately come out of this situation and be successful and turn your life around. And if you leverage it correctly, you could possibly even turn your whole family's life around. Just driven off that. Now, it's probably not the healthiest thing to do, but it just is what it is. Because like I said, when you get out here and you're thrusted into the world with no preparation and with nothing but wounds and trauma, listen, man, you got to use everything that you got. Whatever you got to use it. And you got to use it to be able to get to where other people had the luxury of just getting from the beginning. But I think afterwards, what you'll find is you have a frame of reference that will actually be much more valuable because it's nothing better than understanding both sides of the coin. And what I mean by that is understanding what it's like to be at the lowest of the low and then to be able to make it to the highest, to make it to the highest peaks of life, but still have that knowledge of what it's like at the bottom. That's why you see the most successful people who are super successful, but that never had to struggle, they're always depressed. They're always, look at Joe Biden's son, right? Just doing all type of crazy stuff. It's because they're not grounded. It's because they didn't have something to be able to compare it to for them to actually be grateful for these things. So a lot of us that come up in these situations, these unfortunate situations, once you finally just get out of survival, what you'll find is that you were actually fortunate to have come from that unfortunate situation. It was actually fortunate, but a lot of people never really harness that power, that energy, like I was talking about, and put it into productive means to be able to get on that other side. So that's why I say that's what I would recommend. But we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I am a smaller content creator, we actually get more points per hype. And it was designed for smaller content creators. You only get 3 hypes a week and they always refresh on Monday. So that's what it was designed for. And your hypes actually go further, like I said, when you support smaller channels like myself. And then also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.